Hello? Hey, how's it going? Hey there, my name's Cole. I'm a recruiter at Scaba Incorporated, and I saw that you applied for the role of an entry-level analyst at our company. Yes, I did. I'm excited to get into the interview. Yeah, totally. So I would love to know if you're the right fit for this role. So tell me a bit about yourself. Yeah, so I graduated with a bachelor's degree from the university. Okay, can you just shut up real quick? Just shut up. Shut up right now. What? Great. So we're only looking for candidates with 3 to 5 years of experience for this role. So I need experience for an entry-level job? Yes, that's right. But how can I gain the experience if I don't first get a job when all the entry-level jobs require experience? Isn't that what entry-level jobs are for? You're Gen Z, aren't you? I don't know what this has to do with. My boss was right. You really are the most entitled generation ever. I would hope that exact scenario has never actually happened to any of you, but what I do know is that trying to find an entry-level job when you don't have the experience those entry-level jobs require can feel outrageously frustrating. According to Business Insider, for every 1 million listings on Indeed, the share of entry-level roles fell 6.9% between August 2022 and August 2024. At the same time, roughly 35% of jobs labeled entry-level now require 3 or more years of experience. So what does this mean for the future of the job market? Is everyone without experience stuck in unemployment limbo? And if so, what needs to change? Let's talk about that in this video. Entry-level jobs sprouted from a necessity to train unskilled workers in a newly growing economy. At the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, people were moving from farms to cities and from informal labor to structured clock-in, clock-out work. Businesses as we know them today were just as new as the jobs they created, and so they didn't have time or a need to wait around for the perfect candidate. So they hired people with no experience and taught them on the job. Basically, all you needed during the hiring process was a strong determination to learn and some confidence. That was the entire point of an entry-level job, though back then they were just referred to as jobs. For the next couple hundred years or so, the hiring process largely remained the same. Search for a job in the help wanted section of the newspaper, go to a job fair, or get lucky enough to know a guy who knows a guy at that company who will hire you. But then a few massive shifts occurred, starting in the 1980s, and as a result, the ability to get a job with no prior experience diminished significantly. And those shifts were companies' prioritization of shareholder value over quality workers, internet job postings, the pandemic, which sped up everything else listed here, AI automation, and obsolete college degrees. So let's start with shareholder value. I think we all know by now that America is obsessed with profits and productivity. That obsession really kicked into high gear in the late 1970s and early 1980s, fueled by a cultural shift toward shareholder primacy. As Harvard Business Review reporter William Lazonick pointed out, from the end of World War II until the late 1970s, a retain and reinvest approach provided workers with higher incomes and greater job security. This pattern began to break down in the late 1970s, giving way to a downsize and distribute regime of reducing costs and then distributing the freed up cash to financial interests, particularly shareholders. Ironically, this quote comes from a Harvard Law School forum post titled "So Long to Shareholder Primacy." And in that post, they describe how a bunch of CEOs came together to sign some statement that proposed they should focus more on investing in employees and delivering value to customers, but it doesn't really look like that's going so well. When you treat labor as a cost to minimize rather than an asset to grow, training new workers becomes an unnecessary expense. Why hire someone fresh out of college and invest in them when you can demand a ready-made employee and offload the cost of development onto the worker? But the funny part is, and this might seem obvious to you, that this line of thinking doesn't even help a company prosper in the long run. In 2016, a study conducted by consulting services provider Accenture found that for every dollar a company spent on reimbursing a Cigna employee's college tuition, the company generated $1.29 in cost savings for retention and talent management. So by now, companies know the importance of investing in young workers. The question is, why aren't they? Why are they still keeping entry-level jobs behind a wall of 3 to 5 years of experience? We'll answer that in a second, but first I want to talk about today's sponsor, David. I find it very hard to be in a caloric deficit while still trying to maintain or build muscle because I need to keep my protein level high. And as someone who takes their fitness seriously, this is a big problem for me. I could just eat pounds of beef or chicken, but when I eat those, I'm usually having a full meal and the calories in that meal can add up pretty quickly. But David allows me to get rid of this problem. They have the highest protein to calorie ratio on the market. It's 150 calories and 28 grams of protein, which is absolutely unheard of in a protein bar. With those macros, I expected it to taste like pure protein chalk, but the blueberry pie one is actually really tasty and masks the taste of protein well. And they just came out with a new cinnamon roll flavor, which I destroyed faster than I would have liked to. If you're someone trying to lose weight and keep the calories down, but keep the protein up and do that in a very easy, convenient way, you should definitely try out David. You can get a whole carton entirely for free when you order 4 or more by clicking on the first link in my description box below, or you can scan that QR code that you see on screen right now. Now let's move on to the next big contributor of the entry-level apocalypse that helps us answer our questions: internet job postings. When platforms like Indeed and LinkedIn became popular, apply maxing became the new meta. Suddenly, applicants were now able to filter for job type, experience, company, and reviews, instantly upload their resume, and hit apply. And as a result, companies often receive as many as 1,000 applications per day. That volume completely changed how hiring works. Before online platforms, companies had to actually interact with people. They had to host job fairs, interview candidates in person, and scan printed resumes. But now, hiring is more of a numbers and filtering game. And what's one of the easiest ways to do that? You slap on a 3 to 5 years of experience requirement even if the job doesn't actually need it. Another way companies can simplify this hiring process that often leaves entry-level workers in the dust is a software that I went over in my Fake Job Epidemic video, Applicant Tracking Systems, or ATS for short. These systems are basically digital bouncers. You upload your resume thinking a human will see it, but in reality, a robot scans it first. If your resume doesn't match a certain format, lacks specific keywords, or just doesn't look the way the algorithm expects, it gets rejected before it ever lands in front of a hiring manager. And here's where it ties back to the 3 to 5 years thing. If you're a company that is getting sent hundreds, if not thousands of applications for every role, you need filters. So what do? You set a minimum experience requirement, not because it's necessary, but because it helps your system shrink the pool. The thing is, I don't even think companies want to do this as a solution. They're just trying to adapt to an increasingly competitive applicant pool. And that sort of adaptability is now backfiring. According to SIOP and a joint Harvard Business School Accenture study, a significant majority, 88% of employers believed that qualified high-skills candidates were vetted out of the process because they did not match the exact criteria established by the job description, and that number rose to 94% in the case of middle skills workers. So now not only do you need 3 to 5 years of experience for an entry-level job, but you also need to guess the exact keywords for your resume in order to get past the gates. The platforms made job listings more accessible, sure, but they also empowered employers to pad their descriptions with experience lines that act as thinning tools, not as reflections of actual need. And all of this got even worse after the next big shift: the pandemic. In the early weeks of COVID, about 27 million workers lost their jobs, with bottom quintile, lower wage workers hit 6 times harder than those at the top. New grads and less experienced folks were the first to get wiped out, but when companies started restaffing, they didn't bounce back widely. They looked for experience they already had. A 2021 survey from NACE found that hiring for interns and co-op students dropped, only marginally for interns, but co-ops took a bigger hit, as many roles were paused, canceled, or moved online. A Business Insider article also reinforces this point, citing how companies had very strong preferences to hire people who were more standalone and who they felt wouldn't require as much oversight because everyone is working remotely. Employers that have the benefit of remote work may also utilize it to hire experienced workers with entry-level pay. As the managing director in the Business Insider article puts it, maybe you don't have to take a shot on a fresh college grad or someone that has 1 year of experience because someone has 5 years experience and will be willing to take that same amount of pay because they can sit in their own home. Now, internships are meant to be the key to getting past the new entry-level experience barrier. Most of the time, when companies say they're looking for an entry-level employee with 3 to 5 years of experience, they don't just mean that you are working for pay. They want to know that you've been doing and using the relevant skills in a professional setting for 3 to 5 years. But because of the pandemic, not only did hiring for interns drop, but also the number of internship openings dropped significantly, a 52% decrease according to Glassdoor. And while they did see a significant jump following the years after the pandemic, the latest data shows that internship postings have dipped below 2019 levels. Then, on top of all of that, another seismic shift is happening: AI and automation. Now, we've been hearing about robots taking jobs for decades, but what's really changed is what AI is actually capable of now. We're no longer just talking about machines replacing factory workers. We're talking about entry-level white-collar work like customer service, scheduling, data entry, content generation, even writing resumes being handed off to software. A Goldman Sachs analysis estimated that up to 300 million full-time jobs globally, including admin, legal, and basic tech roles, are exposed to some degree of AI automation. That means that many of the gigs people formerly used to get their foot in the door are being taken over by software. I don't know about you guys, but the AI automation threat has felt especially pertinent in like the last month or so. Feels like everybody on social media is talking about it, and then Trump cutting costs, which is wiping out jobs in government agencies, nonprofits, and public health, is certainly starting to make it all feel pretty real. Along with, of course, the massive tech layoffs that seem to constantly be happening because any entry-level software development roles can just easily be done by AI now. Which now leads me to the last barrier of entry-level jobs: obsolete college degrees. It should be obvious by now, but the fact is, college does not offer the same sort of labor benefits as it did 15 years ago. According to research by the San Francisco Federal Reserve, 2010 marked a turning point when the lifetime earnings gap between college grads and high school graduates stopped widening, even slightly declining in some cases. In Strata's recent Talent Disrupted report, only about half of bachelor's grads land a college-level job within a year after graduation, and a whopping 52% remain underemployed. Along with that, degree inflation is starting to implode. The Burning Glass Institute's Emerging Degree Reset showed that between 2017 and 2019, 46% of middle skill and 31% of high skill jobs dropped their college degree requirement. In short, companies are saying that a diploma isn't enough of a reason to hire you. Major employers like IBM, Google, and Delta have officially removed degree requirements for certain roles, admitting that specific skills and real-world abilities matter more than the piece of paper. So what does that mean when jobs demand 3 to 5 years of experience? They mean proof that you can get stuff done today, not that you sat in a classroom for 4 years. If your degree didn't give you an internship, portfolio, or real-world skills, you might as well have no degree at all. And because of that, and the current internship opportunity problem, we are experiencing the largest gap between the overall unemployment rate and the unemployment rate for people who recently graduated from college in the last 40 years. So if you're wondering why so many young people feel stuck, it's not laziness, it's not entitlement, it's that the very pathways that were supposed to help them get started were quietly taken away from them and never fully brought back. With all that said, I gotta bring it to this question. What can we do? Or more specifically, what can you do in this job market? I'm not going to sit here and pretend you can just grind harder and then magically bypass a system that's designed to keep you out. That's not how this works. But the truth is, we need both personal strategy and systemic change. Let's start with some good news. A growing number of states like Maryland, Pennsylvania, Utah, Alaska, and New Jersey have removed 4-year degree requirements for thousands of public sector jobs. And that's on top of what I already mentioned about a lot of these other big employers removing the college degree requirements from a lot of their roles. Now, would I still recommend that you go to college? I think that if you go to a public college or you get a really nice scholarship and you don't put yourself horribly into debt and somehow your degree gives you opportunities in real-world experiences like internships or stuff like that, stuff you can put into a portfolio, then I would say, yeah, it's probably going to be worth it. But it's nice to know that states and big companies are already adapting to this skills-based hiring. Now, if you're still having trouble finding those internship opportunities and you do or don't have a degree and you want to show that you have skills, what do you do? Well, I think having proof that you understand how to solve problems in the real world and you have these skills through a portfolio website is pretty much necessary at this point. No, you're not going to get paid for all the work that you do. You'll be doing projects that will be difficult for no pay on your own time. But it's clear that you got to show these companies that you know what you're doing by pursuing something in your free time that's related to the job that you want. Another great way to pad on that experience companies look for is through alternative credentials. A 2022 SHRM learning study found that 88% of executives and 76% of supervisors believe these credentials are as good or better than traditional degrees for some roles. Programs like Google Career Certificates, Coursera, and Skillstorm are gaining more credibility, especially in IT, project management, and data analytics. And if I could give one final tip, honestly, some of y'all just need to lie on your resume and in interviews. If you want more opportunities and you believe you're confident enough to pass interviews and succeed in a role right out of college or just with no experience, just set up your resume so that these systems will approve them and go from there. I really do hope the job hiring system fixes itself so people don't have to resort to this, and I'm not saying everyone should, but if companies are going to be lazy in their searching process, then you should be too. At the moment, this system is clearly failing, but the people and policies pushing for skills-first change seems to be a good sign of progress, outside of the alternative, which is to fix college degrees to actually teach things that are valuable to these companies in the modern market. In the Future of Jobs report for 2025, the World Economic Forum found that the top core skills that companies are looking for in 2025 are all related to critical thinking. It's analytical thinking, creative thinking, and technological literacy. The problem is, what sort of resources actually exist out there that teach you proper critical thinking skills, especially in a modern digital landscape that's constantly trying to rage bait you and make you emotionally charged and keep us divided? Well, that's exactly why for the past year I've been working on creating a critical thinking masterclass, a 16-video curriculum designed to help you sharpen your reasoning, spot manipulative rhetoric, and navigate emotionally charged conversations both online and in real life. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, you can go to cole-hastings.com/criticalthinking. It's one of the first links in the description, and you will be signed up for my waitlist, and you'll also get a lesson from me before the actual masterclass drops. If you have any other ideas on how we could improve this shitstorm, or you just have a funny story about you getting rejected from an entry-level job, I would love to hear them in the comments. And if you like this video, you'll probably like the related video about the fake job epidemic, which specifically focuses on ghost jobs and how those are plaguing the job market right now. And yeah, don't spiral into doomerism if you watch those. We're going to figure things out eventually. And yeah, I'm going. Goodbye.